literally did what I told you not to do.
You said don't laugh. And
I
the
said
first thing I
don't
want
laugh,
to do
and
is
then
laugh.
you laugh. You literally anything like. Don't step in front of that car, Dave. You will literally do anything I tell you not to. Anything don't push the red button.
I've pressed the red button already. What is up?
Oh, yep.
It is Dave. It is Duncan. It is Ross. Back from Metal Epidemic for our first podcast of 2024. If only we had some form of, I don't know, like fireworks or something that we could
that'd be cool.
Celebrate this being the first podcast, the new year.
I can't remember. Like, also, this goes out as a podcast. Oh, that's not right.
That's not it, Duncan. That's not. Get started. Get it started.
Come on.
I'm not going any further until you do it.
Well, this is the problem. There's a Happy New Year.
Yes.
There's too many options now. Like, there's so many. Like, it was easy when I only knew 3 of them, and then my 9-year-old was like, "Can't believe you only know there's 3." And she told me about 20. I was like, your old dad will never remember all that.
Your old dad
will remember that shite.
Nah. We are kicking things off in 2024.
Look at Dave kick it.
Yes, I can. Ready to kick the bucket.
Can I kick it? Yes, I can.
Not at this age, Duncan.
All right.
We are kicking things off with our customary top 20 albums of the year. That is 2023, not 2024, because that would be really difficult.
Yes. Although we should try that one year. We should look at the list of albums, expect it, and say, that's going to be in my 10. But you know what we should have done? I'm getting all my ideas now, because I'm an idea factory, Dave, and you set me up, and when you do that, it goes, what we should have done, what we might still do, because we do this from time to time. Memory serves, the February podcast, we usually do a little segment where we're saying what is coming out this year.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
You know what would be fun on that podcast?
What would be fun on that, Duncan?
Pimping that one and not taking into account that we are pressed for time and so many albums to talk about. What might be fun is that we actually write down in a sealed envelope 3 albums that we think will make our top 20. And then we will open them on this time next year. We'll open them on the podcast and we will reveal them. Untampered. We should get wax seals that fit on them. We should do that. Put them in a storage box. Bury them in the garden.
Okay, let's do that.
Podcast just digging it up.
I'm back.
Brand new episode of Tech Review. This shovel.
Hey, if someone wants to send us a shovel or a pneumatic drill, no, it's technically not.
It's a shovel.
Yeah, like let's
Good
do
handle.
Good pneumatic drill. Pneumatic drill, Dave.
Pneumatic drill.
Yeah.
Have we gone under concrete?
And then we have to review while used it. Right.
I'm sensing golf undertones.
Okay. If you're a frequenter of the Metal Epidemic website, you may have noticed back in December we posted our top 10 albums of the year.
So they're out there. So technically, you if you are someone that, spoiler alert, you only really want to listen to 20 through 11 because the other ones are on the internet and have been for weeks.
That is true.
I have read both your lists, but I'm riddled with ADHD and don't remember. So this is as much as a surprise to me as it is for everyone else.
Excellent. 10 is quite difficult to narrow down though. Especially in 2023 where it was just like insane release after insane release all year.
Yeah.
So it's only fair, I feel, that we get to extend that list just a little bit.
It's only fair that the people that do the YouTube content get longer lists, and everyone that reviews for the site, even if they send you 15, which someone may have said, like Dave will just chop 5 off your list. And then put it out.
Right. The rule stated top 10, Duncan. Anything else? Ben. So we are going to spend this podcast, which will probably split into bits, chatting about our top 20 releases of 2023.
I like it.
So, gents, shall we dance? Shall we get this moving?
I say we do it.
If you can't kick, you ain't dancing. So
No, I'm not.
unless it's
I'm
line
not.
dancing, which
From a
involves a lot of
chair.
kicking, don't do that either.
No. Any preference on who would like to start this dance?
You. This is the new rule is you go first. Yeah, the new rule is you go first, because then we can then look at our lists and go, oh fuck. I forgot about that. So.
All right. Okay.
Either that, we resurrect paper, scissors, stone, which is impossible to do on camera. So,
usually start doing mad gestures and fucking explosions and shit.
Flying across the screen. A second tower. Just.
Okay.
Yeah, if like that would be in such bad taste that, you know, if you did like an airplane thing and like the twin towers fell behind me. You know, I get your video removed right from the internet.
Yes, okay, let's kick things off with number 20, ladies and gents.
Cool idea, Dave.
Thanks, Duncan. Thank you. Okay, number 20 on my list. Here we go. So after seeing this band live in 2023, it kind of reignited my love for this album, and I ended up absolutely. This was my most listened to album in December. I rinsed this album in December.
Incredible.
I think it's a clear step up from their last album, and then seeing it live kind of made everything make sense when I saw it mixed with the older material. So my number 20 is World Domination by Norwegian punks Blood Command. Released September 29th on Hassle Records. I know I'm not having to convert you guys. This
higher on my list, so yeah.
Maybe more on this later.
This album fucks, plain and simple. If you're a fan of hardcore punk, this will hit all the right spots. It is utterly vicious, even more so than the last album. Absolute ton of energy. But with enough like melody and like black metal curveballs infusing it to make it an album that you want to go back to and repeat. For me, this was an album that showed kind of major growth for Blood Command as songwriters, which is kind of really exciting, because I honestly think this might just be the kind of tip of the iceberg of what they're actually capable of. They don't do paint by numbers. You're right.
My brain's ruined. You said black metal curveball, right? And then I thought of like a football player using it in a free kick, and he scored a goal and a church burned. It's the black metal curveball technique to score a goal. It's a shame that 1,000.
Do you remember when I said that ADHD like mere minutes ago?
Yeah.
I think I met the final boss.
Yeah. Just got this image of a football player kicking a ball and it covered around like a group of people and going at the goal. And they're like, "Oh, it's the black metal cover." And then like, there's a fucking 1,000-year-old church on fire behind them. Like, I don't know why. I hate my life.
Wow. Right. Wow. That was your last beer for this podcasting session.
That's what you say, Dave.
Finally, I expect the next album to be another release that has me questioning everything about Blood Command.
Will there be another album, Dave?
Well, this is the thing. We don't know. Duncan interviewed them in December when they were here in Glasgow, and they were a bit kind of like, will they not?
Which makes me think it's already recorded.
I think it's already done. I think it's done, yeah.
Because they did that before.
Yeah. Ooh, so that's my number 20. Blood Command, World Domination. Okay, who's next? Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Why not? Why not?
Love it when Ross goes next.
So this is an album that we spoke about on our 6th month list.
Oh, right.
So this was number 8 at that point, but is now down to number 20.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is The Brightest Days by Origami Angel.
Spinning this to death, man.
I seen you put it up actually on your Instagram, which made me happy that you took it on.
Absolutely love it. Yeah.
It's just so sugary, and I love that. It came out in June on Counterintuitive Records, and I really liked it. And then I went to see them. They were supporting the Wonder Years in SWG 3.
Nice.
And I don't know how. I mean, I know it's pop punk, but the power that just this two-piece have, like how he plays these riffs and sings.
There are two-piece.
Yeah, it's actually he sings and plays guitar, and then a drummer. Mental, absolutely mental. But I didn't really realize how much staying power these songs had until I went to see them live. And every time they played a new song, I just knew it. Like I knew the chorus instinctively. And I didn't realize kind of how much they'd clicked to people because they got a really good response. And when you go to that venue, like I've seen support bands, really good support bands, die on their arse because there's no, it's a warehouse. But they really had that room going for it, and I just kept going back to this album. I've not listened to it for a while because it's winter and it's such a summery album, but the chorus is all over it. I didn't think it was as good as Somewhereville, which was their kind of big record. But the more I listen to it, I actually think it might be just as good, if not better. So if you're kind of looking for that more kind of sweet, really tangy pop punk, this is a really good place to go. Again, riffs. It's like only 4 years strong in that scene for me.
Yeah.
Do that sort of kind of heavy riffing with the pop punk. This is the best band since they were in their heyday for that sort of thing. So The Brightest Days by Origami Angel, I can't recommend it enough. If you're
and it's 25 minutes long. You will rinse it like fuck. It's an easy
8 songs in 22 minutes. Like, that's exactly what you want. So if you don't like a song, you're straight on to the next one, which will have, they kind of throw a bunch of different ideas at it. It's not just that kind of shoegazy math rock that a lot of the pop punk bands do. There's a lot of heavier influences. Like the guy was wearing a Obituary top when I seen them, so they kind of pull influence from everywhere. And yeah, this album's great. So The Brightest Days by Origami Angel is just sneaked in at number 20.
Nice, awesome. Duncan, your number 20.
Mine's is also a summer album. It's also mercifully short. It's 25 minutes in length. I had a dilemma. The dilemma was that there was
number 20.
There could only be a hardcore punk album in at number 20 for me, right? There had to be well, when I say hardcore punk, hardcore metal, that sort of hardcore. Hardcore. Let's just call it hardcore. Hardcore. There could only be one, and one of them was incredibly inventive, like just threw a million ideas, and I kind of loved it because of that. And that band would be Zulu. And then it came down to purely what one had I listened to more. I'd listened to this one more. And number 20 for me is Drain, Living Proof, out on Epitaph. This is fucking awesome. I was never the biggest hardcore fan. Like, I was never the biggest death metal fan. But when you get a band that comes out and delivers, like, honest to goodness, good old-fashioned 90s hardcore, it makes me happy. Like, in the 90s, I was new metal as fuck, right? Jinko jeans, like, fucking chains everywhere, like, fucking chain round the neck with a padlock in it, because, like, why not? And that wasn't even in the 90s. That was like in 2001. I'm like, I'm holding on to this till I die. This padlock's locked and I can't get out now. I will. looks like this is me forever now.
Trust me, RJ argued, I promise.
I was listening to RJ the day, but that's a conversation for a different time. Well, that's a different time. But yeah, like, so I was never the biggest fan. Dave obviously was, and Dave tried a lot to get me into it. And what's really weird is that, like, for some reason, is like with TV shows and movies, 20 years later, I eventually get around to them. And I'm like, that, you know what? Like, Dave may have mentioned it then, but I'm going to use this as I have discovered. So I have discovered Drain, right? No one else had discovered Drain. It's super short. It's got riffs for days, man. This is like fucking awesome. I love that there are moments where they just throw a little Slayer-esque riff in there, just for shits and giggles, and that makes me smile. The same way that the name of that band who did Death Western last year did that as well, where they did a ton of kind of Slayer-infused hardcore riffs, and it just works. They do have kind of summary style vocal lines, even though they're kind of the shouty, angsty sort of thing. It's a fucking bitchin' cover on here. Track 6 is a hip-hop infused, like, filler track, and it all just works for me. It's not as eclectic as Zulu by any stretch of the imagination, and that album I've also listened to a lot, but this one I've listened to twice as much, and they're coming to Glasgow this year, and we will be going to see them. So Drain, Living Proof, out on Epitaph. It's my number 20.
Nice. Okay. Moving on. Number 19. So I had quite a few kind of like feel good albums of this year or 2023, and this was one of them from a band that I think deserve like all the praise and recognition that they're getting right now. We kind of championed them from the start when they played. You could say it was a kind of half room in Glasgow, like over a decade ago.
Hipster flex, Dave, love it.
Yeah, you know,
it was there before it was cool.
Now they're selling out venues, they're playing massive stages with like big productions and looking kind of right at home while they're doing it. My number 19 is from the Australian Eurovision People's Champion, Voyager, and their new album Fearless in Love. Released on July 14th via Season of Mist. This album is just a step up in every way for Voyager, even down to the way that they've recorded the album, which is the first time they've done it as a band in a room. But most importantly, I think the songs are just epic on this. It's got plenty of progressive metal kind of groove, but it's got a real cool like 80s tinge in the synth work. The pacing of the album is perfect, and vocally I think it's the most memorable release they've had to date. Every track on this could be a single. I think that's how good it is from front to back. And I feel like with every release from Voyager, they kind of outdo themselves on each album, and this for me is the most consistent and strongest release to date. Obviously they've had a bit of a rough end to the year, but they are already planning their comeback in 2024, and I'm all there for it. Can't wait to see them live when they come over. So my number 19 is Voyager and Fearless in Love. Ross, number 19.
Number 19 could probably not be any more different from the album I just spoke about. When a band signs to like a bigger label, I don't know if this is like a elitist in me, but I do get that wee bit of fear that they might kind of sand off those edges that I really loved. So when Svalbard signed to Nuclear Blast, I was a little bit scared, but I love the weight of the mask. I think this album is so good. I'm sure we spoke about the single back in March.
Yeah.
Sounds about right, Eternal Spirits, the three of us spoke about it. And from then I was waiting for this album to just appear in my inbox. And it's I love it. It's so good. And I think I follow the band on like social media and stuff, and they're such positive people. And then you listen to this album, and the kind of themes of it are really dark, all about kind of trying to better yourself and dealing with like mental health issues and stuff. But it does it in such a unique way, whereas like maybe a lot of the more emo leaning stuff might kind of put that over sad music. I feel like Svalbard are constantly uplifting musically, even if their like vocals or lyrics aren't like that. And that just really resonates with me. Like this album roars out of the traps. Like Faking It is such a great opener. Eternal Spirits, which is again that song we spoke about Joey Jordison dying and stuff like that. It's such a great album. The riffs all over it. And my favourite thing about When We Die Will It Get Better was a kind of vocal interplay between the two vocalists. That's pushed so much further on this album now. They're almost co-vocalists now, rather than Serena just taking the leads all the time. My only issue with it was there maybe wasn't as enough clean vocals as there was last time, but the more I go back to it, it doesn't even need it. Like her screams are so clear. I can really pick up everything that she's saying, and that's like my favourite thing about this band. That their themes and their clarity. Like, I think they use the major label money so much, well, I say major, bigger label money better, because those clean parts are so clean. Like, this album just sounds amazing, and if you're going to be called Svalbard, you better be bringing icy riffs. And just, like, the glaciers all over this album are just, I love it. Again, 9 songs, 44 minutes. It's not too long either. And I just keep finding myself when I don't know what to put on. This is an album that I reach for. Like, I think it's just good in any situation. And when I've let people hear it, that really clicks. So I know they're coming to Glasgow next year. I can't remember what tour it is. I remember they're open for someone, but I can't remember what tour it is.
Is it not Wayfarer and is it Enslaved?
Oh yeah, that's in that.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Slay.
Since Slay, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there for that one. I love this album, and
Yep.
yeah, I love Svalbard. What a band!
Yeah, nice one. Duncan, number 19.
I love it. Like, we went summary at 20, Dave didn't. So then Dave went kind of summary at 19. Ross didn't. I definitely didn't. My number 19, the band said in their press statement, was basically their album telling them that they want to be off this fucking planet ASAP. And which is a shame, because they should continue to write music because they're really fucking good at it. This album has been the biggest grower on me this year in terms of re-listens. I listened to this a shit ton when I was on my holidays on the other side of the world, when I couldn't sleep, which I can't do at the best of times, which was very, very difficult when you're 8 hours ahead of the UK. It was just horrible. Like, it's like got absorbed into the world of Throat.
Oh yeah.
With We Must Leave You out on Svart Records, a big gothy, doomy, 80s infused kind of post-punk fucking 80s. It's like wearing a shroud of gloom. Like, see if gloom was a colour. I'd like to buy that shroud, please. Oh, what colour would you like it? Can I have it in gloom? That's literally this. It reminds me so much of other, vocally more than anything. It reminds me, and I mentioned at the time, it reminds me a lot of the White Lies, which are kind of indie band that I really like because they remind me a lot of Joy Division. It's that kind of 80s inspired, doomy, sort of gothy, poppy style of vocals. But the music underneath it is fucking great. And the first time I listened to it, I think when we even reviewed it, I was like, that back half of the album, fucking killer. Front half of the album, it's alright, like that. That is, it's not 180'd, but that's completely changed. I actually think that the rewards on the back half of the album don't work without the first half of the album. It feels like it is constantly building to the next track, which then, like a weird relay race or the Olympic torch, it feels like one goth's handing it off to another goth who's then continuing the run. I love it. I think it finishes with maybe one of the best 1-2 punches of closing tracks this year in Tiny Golden Murder into Valedictory. It's infectious, it's bleak, it's nihilistic, but these guys have a sound that I fucking love, which, by the way, is in just now. Like, they've obviously morphed their sound over time, and what they've landed on right now, I think, is fucking excellent. So no one's talking about it. Like, no one is talking about it. Throat, We Must Leave You, it's out on Svart Records. We love Svart Records, and this is the reason why we love Svart Records. Every year, they give me 1 or 2 albums from my top 20 from bands I've never fucking heard of before, from parts of the world that I will never go to. So there we are.
Nice. Okay, moving on to number 18. Might be also talking about a little label you just mentioned there, Duncan.
Ooh,
there are certain albums that will continue to kind of pull you back in throughout the year. And the majority of those albums, I probably scored like maximum points to, right? But on occasion, you maybe find there's an album that you don't give full marks to, but it has something about it that you think, that's really unique. There's something really different about that, different to everything else that you've heard, and it just kind of keeps calling you back for another listen. And then, like, it has you almost questioning, like, did I get that right? Did I underscore that by a half point or something like that? And this next release is one of those albums where I've just kept going back to it. There's something about it that sounds so different from everything else that I had in my top 10, and that we'd kind of reviewed. My number 18 is an album called Severance from New York progressive sludge trio Netherlands, released on March 31st via Svart Records. This, like, every time I go back to this, I'm listening, I'm like, this is just in a lane of its own. Like,
this dude, one guy.
Yeah, I know, like, he pretty much does everything. And this album just kind of gets stuck in your head. It's chaotic. It's like fucking intoxicatingly heavy, but it's got huge hooks, and most importantly, it's got a real kind of dose of personality to it. And I think that's the key to this album's success is Timo and the band are obviously really focused on pushing the envelope with the genre and taking the sounds to places that it doesn't usually go. But what you end up with is an album that gives you this kind of like colossal sludge kind of weight and groove, but with memorable vocal patterns and melodies, and sounds nothing like anything else that's out right now.
It's like a dose of Mr. Bungle for no reason at all, but it fucking works.
Yeah. The kind of choices and the genres that they're blending and influences are so different, but they work really well. I had to include it. It's just too good not to mention in my top 20. So that's my number 18 is Netherlands and Severance. Ross, number 18.
I'm going to keep this one short and sweet because I know for a fact it's getting talking about later, so I might chime in a bit more then. But it is out of Metal Blade Records. It just missed out on my top. The last time when we did our 6-month list, I had only listened to the album for the first time that day, and it was fighting for the top 10 then. It is Terracite by Cattle Decapitation.
Oh,
I think
interesting.
At what this band do, they are the best. I know you two love this band probably more than I do, but we all love them.
Dave loves them more than I do. So
yeah, I think they're amazing. I've really liked the introduction of the clean vocals over the last couple of records, and that just getting better and better. No other vocalist sounds like this. No. And if they do now, everyone will know that they've copied it from Cattle Decapitation. Yeah, it's such 100%. Such a unique spin on this thing. And I'm loving like the themes of all the albums, like the last one about the plagues, like where do we go now? Well, the start of humanity. Where else would we go? Yeah. And it's like the claustrophobic feeling of this album, especially at the start, for the kind of bug wings and stuff. Like you just feel disgusting listening to it, and I love that feeling. Like, I can't believe that Scourge of the Offspring is one of the best choruses that I've heard this year. Just see the amount of times I sing, screech that in my shower. Like, it's just so good. Like, this album is, I think if I listened to it more, it'd probably go higher. But I love this album so much. But I know we'll speak about it again in the not too distant future, so I'll keep it short. But listen to Cattle Decapitation.
Nice. Awesome. Duncan, number 18.
Keeping on the not so great vibes. This one, man, honestly, I fucking adore it. And I think it pissed off a lot of people, and I'm hoping that it did, because it just makes the tears taste sweeter. They've changed. They're doing stuff that they shouldn't be. I wish they just released the one album instead of two. The Acacia Strain released 2 albums, same day, back to fucking back. One was called Step Into the Light. It was okay. It was like cookie cutter Acacia Strain. Not particularly memorable, but heavy as balls. On the same day, they released a 3-track fucking opus. Oh my god, it was sludgy and evil as fuck. It was something that I found myself, I think when we reviewed it, the band even commented on the review where I was like that. This is the lane that they've been promising me since Wormwood. Like, since Wormwood, they've been promising me like this dose of fucking ugly sludge. And it's been peppered throughout the releases afterwards, but they've never just committed. See when you're driving in traffic, Dave, and you're driving and you're coming towards that light, and that light, you're 30, and that light starts to change from, this is only works in the UK, from green to amber. You have to commit, Dave. You have to go through that amber light. And this is what the band did here. They committed fully to the sludge sound, then released a sludge album. And that's the only way to describe it. Granted, it is only 3 songs, which might make some people go, 3 songs isn't an album. It's 38 minutes in length, though, so suck my chubby, right? And it's 3 shades of a sound of sludge. So it's not 3 songs that are trying to sound it. Pillar of Salt definitely is a great introduction to this very slow, methodical, crushing sound. Introduction of kind of haunting female vocals at the end before it hits you with arguably the ugliest riff you'll ever hear. The revelation comes in at track 2 with Bog Walker, which is once again maybe one of the greatest names for a song of all time. It's also on page 4 of the Kama Sutra, but it does involve shitting on someone. Don't do that. But it's just like a riff that Down, who are writing a new album, would fucking kill for. Just big southern swagger from a band not known from that, and also not from that part of the world. And then Bass in the Vows to close out, which is just ugly. It's the only word I could use. It's just ugly. I fucking adore this. I want more of this. And the Casey Strain took to our YouTube page to say, don't worry, Duncan, we're not abandoning this in the future, and that is all I need from these guys. It was out on Rise Records. It was called Failure Will Follow. Listen to the other album they put out too. But at the end, if you ain't coming back and saying Failure Will Follow is the better of the two, and arguably the best thing the band's done since Wormwood, then I don't know if we can be friends. It's my number 18, the Acacia Strain, Failure Will Follow.
Nice. Okay, number 17. We're flying. So I'm not gonna lie. I had to cut a large number of hardcore albums from my
Kill
list
your
this
darlings, Dave. That's what you have to do. You have to line them up on the wall, put blindfolds on them, put the gun at the back of their head.
Look at the nipples.
2023 had so many killer hardcore albums.
Yeah.
And for someone like me who's a fan of hardcore, I could have made a top 20 from that genre on its own.
Yeah.
But I managed to rein myself in, and I've narrowed it down to...
I managed to rein myself in to the next 17. Strap yourself in for Big Davey's top 17 and 24 hardcore albums.
17 albums, all with one-syllable band names. Let's go.
This one was on a lot of lists.
I'm curious to find out what this one is, Dave, because...
rightly so, though, because it's a record that doesn't fall into having like a cookie cutter formula,
with you.
But instead is kind of brimming with character. My number 17 is A New Tomorrow by LA hardcore band Zulu. Released March 3rd via Flat Spot Records.
Great name for a record label as well.
Yeah, I know this will probably come up later, so I'll keep it short. I just loved the way this album kind of pushed the boundaries, really. I loved how daring it is. I mean, it's got that kind of like, that real kind of violent hardcore streak to give you, you know, what you'd want, that tenacity you'd want from a hardcore record, but it gives you so much more than that. This is very cleverly adding in different types of instrumentation, varied styles from like soul and reggae and jazz and all sorts in there. It's utterly savage, yet incredibly soulful, very profound at the same time. It's also under 30 minutes, which makes this so easy just to spin on repeat. I haven't seen them live yet, but it's on my list. I want to see these guys on stage live. I
imagine they'll be over. They've got to imagine they'll be over.
They're playing Download next year, so they'll be in the UK.
We are not going to look at us. We're old.
Too old.
Dave can't kick it.
They might do some dates around it.
Yeah,
Dave can't.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I mean, I could do Download, but I would just need a chair for the whole weekend, basically. I wouldn't really be moving. So maybe one day, you never know. Or Duncan can carry me on his back for a couple of days.
This image of you crowd surfing on a chair. Oh, I said, didn't move me.
Fourth stage, boys. Fourth stage. Let's go.
So my number 17, Zulu, A New Tomorrow. Ross, number 17, what you got?
My number 17, going back to the Posse vibes, is Free Reign to Passions by the Dirty Now. I reviewed this for the website.
Yeah.
So you can
You
go
saw
and
them
get
live
this.
as well, didn't you?
No, I've still not seen them.
No,
they
they
were playing.
I think they're coming
they played
back over, by the way.
I was in Norway when they played Glasgow. Yeah, they are. They're playing.
Oh, where are you now?
I was indeed. They're doing a co-headline with someone. I believe they're playing King Tut's. So I'll be finally getting to see them.
That's right, yeah.
But I just have so much love for this band. Like, I can't even be diplomatic about it. This is probably their weakest of the last three, and I still think it's great. Like, Celebration is such a Zakk Wylde riff to open an album. It's so good. And my favourite thing about this band is just how much they don't take themselves seriously. Like, their last album had a song about the boy who stole my bike. This album has a song about blowing up things in the woods. That there's no metaphors here. It's just one Canadian man telling you different stories from his life over just some of the funnest punk, rock, thrash at points, just whatever genre he's listening to at the time, they'll just put on an album. But they do it with such conviction that I buy into it. Like, I seen videos from that tour that I missed, and he's like knee sliding like a kid at a wedding and playing guitar solos while blowing up like big bubbles of bubblegum on the amps. Like, it's just such a piss take, but I buy everything that they put down, and it's just so much fun. Like, the riffs are so fun, and there's influence from everywhere. Like I say, Zakk Wylde's influence on this album is mad. A kind of pop rock album, but I would say he's one of their biggest influences. It's just choruses that won't leave your head, and like I say, it's straight down the line, no bigger meaning. This is what the song's about. Here's 3 minutes of me singing about that one specific thing that only I can relate to, and then I'll do it again for the next song. And I love that. As I feel like I'm listening to like someone's grandpa tell me little personal stories, and I'm just sitting there drinking it all in. And I love this band. They're so much fun. Like, this is another summer album. Like, they're such a summer band for me. It might not be as good as Fuck Art or Master Volume, but I think this is still a great album, and I cannot wait to see these songs live. So
well, you don't have that long. Yeah, you don't have that long. They are playing in April on the Oran Mor.
Thank you. Oh, Oran Mor, even better.
Yeah,
even better.
April 17th.
Dine Alone Records that came out on. What a band.
Awesome. Duncan, number 17.
I'm going to use the opening line we've all used but been unable to do. I'm going to keep this short. Right? This one is going to appear later on. It's going to appear on the Boss Man's list somewhere. Underdark, Managed Decline, out on Church Road Records. An album from a band I'd never heard before. Apparently Dave fired a reviewer who may have... I mean, that's the word on the street. I read between the words. He's no longer with us, is what you said, which made me think he was gone. When they reviewed their previous album unfavourably because he couldn't work out what genre it was in, which, yeah, he shouldn't be writing for a site that deals with multiple genres. Yeah, like, you made the statement at the time that this was the best black metal album you'd heard this year, which is a statement that you don't regularly make because you don't like the genre. I don't like the genre. And it's the second best black metal album I've heard this year. The first one is technically not a black metal album, which will just irritate the fuck out of everyone, which will make me very, very, very happy. You know what it is? It's in my top 10. Blackened inspired, but not a black metal album. Productions, yes, but the songs, no. Underdark Managed Decline, though, it's not what is the cookie cutter reference. It's not a cookie cutter black metal album. There's a lot going on vocally, musically, even in the production. Is very well maintained, very well managed, and it is brimming with angst. This is dealing with some pretty hard topics and subject matter, and I feel it in my bones when they sing about it. It's 40 minutes long, 7 tracks, and it's a spectacular listen. I never checked out that first album, so I don't know where they are, but as a starting ground for me on this album coming in, easily one of the most exciting bands in the genre. I think for me, I'm getting in at ground level with them. Even on album 2, I'm getting in at ground level, and I kind of feel like this band has a lot to offer, and they're in the best place to do it. Church Road Records is a great fit for them, and the beauty of that label is they don't put out albums that sound alike from bands that sound alike. They've got a very eclectic base, and Underdark is just another, to me, spectacular acquisition by the label. And overall, as an album, it's a fascinating listen. There are moments that are the only word I could use to describe on the album is haunting to me. I listen to them and I literally get chills listening to them. So yeah, we both scored it very highly, and I'm very glad to say it made my number 17. Underdark, Managed Decline, Churchwood Records. Not a short review, but fuck it.
Okay. Okay. Number 16. Completing our first 5 of our top 20.
Thank you for reminding us, Dave.
Number 16. So
Gonna keep this short.
I'm going to keep this short because this is probably going to come up again. But like, this is a band that are over 25 years into their career, still releasing albums, and still releasing albums as good as the one they've just put out. It feels like they've kind of done it all already, but they still seem to find ways of delivering that ultra crushing sound that they do. My number 16 is from none other than Sacramento quintet Will Haven and their new album 7, released on July 7th via Minus Head Records. I kind of feel like this band just keep releasing landmark after landmark album, and every time I think, what else can Will Haven do? And then they put out another album. I'm like, oh, right, okay, that's what Will Haven can do. I was looking at their back. I mean, I was looking at my list today, and I was looking at Will Haven. I was like, they don't have a bad album. They don't have a bad album in their catalogue at all. I mean, you could argue they don't put out albums that often. You know, they're not like a every 2 years here's a new album type of band. This is only their 7th album, but they have like a quality control like no other, and they seem to be like a constant comparison as well. Like when we're talking about other bands, we're reviewing stuff, it's always like, sounds like Will Haven, you know what I mean? It's just, they are referenced constantly. But I ultimately love the fact that you know exactly when you're listening to a Will Haven album. I mean, it has its own sound. It has a bleakness and a weight like no other band. And then you throw in a vocalist with a tone like Grady, and you can't really go wrong with this, to be honest. This one is very riff heavy. It's unapologetically pummeling, but also cleverly nods back to their albums from their back catalogue as well, the strengths from those albums. So my number 16 is Will Haven and 7. Ross, where are we going? Number 16.
So for me, this is the most underrated album on my list.
Oh.
I don't think you guys have spoke about it. I've not seen many people speak about it, really.
Right.
So my number 16 is
Metallica.
Endless Pursuit. 72 Seasons by Metallica. It's Endless Pursuit by the band Temple of Angels. It came out in July. It's on Run for Cover Records. This, to me, is, because I'm going to speak about another one later, the second best emo album of this year. This is my favorite. This is my favorite vocal performance of this year. I am male.
You're a dick.
Get that phone back up, Dave.
He's such a fucking dick as well.
I'll listen.
He's such a dick.
He can't grow the fringe, and he's not listening to it. This album is just. I'm railroaded, boys.
He's horrible. He does this. He's a fucking dick.
This album is absolutely stunning. It is. I feel like a lot of bands, and this might be a criticism that you agree with, Dave, that a lot of bands in this scene all do a very similar thing. And I've got to the point, I get it. You've heard Hum. We've all heard Hum, right? We've heard it. But this is a band that are drawn on more so like the Smiths and Cure and that sort of emo, rather than the kind of shoegazy stuff that everyone else is referencing. This is a vocal performance that I just am in awe of. Her vocals are just insane. They're so clear and serene and beautiful. And then about halfway through, the guitarist just takes over and he just does a couple of songs. And he's amazing. It's like they went from my favourite vocal performance to then having another vocalist do the last kind of third of the album, and it's excellent. He's got this, if Morrissey wasn't an absolute thundercunt kind of quality to him. Like, it's so good. And then they kind of trade off vocals quite a bit as well. And this album is just, I'm gutted I've not seen more people talk about it, because I think it's just, this band deserve a lot more than they're getting at the minute. So if you're into that kind of really clean riffs, but not kind of slowing, oh, like this sucks, like there's just something about it that's it grabbed them. First listen, I was all in on this band, and I just keep finding myself going back and back to it. So Endless Pursuit by Temple of Angels is check it out if you've not, because yeah, I'm batting for this band hard.
Nice. Duncan, number 16.
This is the last review of this segment, and in order to do this, I need to bring the power of, wait a second.
Oh dear.
Congratulations! The band is Eyes. They'll be mentioned later on. The album is called Congratulations. It was out on Indisciplinarian Records. They are Danish, and they are savage. Their genre is savage. We reviewed the first album in the lifetime of Metal Epidemic, so once again, it feels great to be in following a band's fledgling journey into bigger and better things, and this is the bigger and better thing. I love the previous album. I adore this new album. I think Congratulations is just unabashedly fucking savage from start to finish. There's no point in this record play like that. Maybe just put a wee something in here that'll slow the No, that wasn't a consideration. It's like, fuck you. There's only one level on this one, and it's brutal and savage and right for the throat. It's an album that goes straight for the jugular from the off and never really lets go, like a dog with rabies. Yeah, I think it's fucking brilliant. It's going to be talked about later on. I will add a few pointers in at that point, and at this point here, I will close it out by saying it was my number 16, and it makes me very happy to see it. Eyes, Congratulations, and Disciplinarian Records.
Awesome. So that is the first part of our top 20. Our number 20s down to number 16. So join us on the next part, where we'll be chatting about our number 15 down to 11. We'll speak to you then.